speaker is the Honorable Sauls. Order, honorable members.
Greetings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Moinke Ahuniki. In his internationally acclaimed work, The 5 Basic Laws of Human Stupidity, the economic historian Carlo Cipolla asserts, open quote, a stupid person is someone who causes harm to another person or group while they themselves do not benefit from it and may even suffer losses. Close quote. Attempting to cause a potential legislative backlog in order to be perceived as the blue cape wearing hero, whilst knowing the harm it may cause to South Africans with no benefit to themselves, is not heroic, it is myopic. Our committee consists of PA, ANC, EFF, MKP, IFP, and DA. Together as one strong team, we've been the most effective in enforcing Section 55(2) of the Constitution, holding the executive accountable. Make no mistake, it is not the effort of one single alternate member, as the current deceptive narrative wants you to believe. Honorable House Chair, the department is allocated 450.5 billion in total. That is shared among 6 programs, of which we want to zoom into 2. Program 1 contributes to 2 MTDP outcomes. 1, which is social cohesion and nation building, with 65% of public procurement set aside for Black-owned businesses. We want to reiterate that the department must take serious the recommendation in the report under Section 8 that racial targets should be included. We will hold you accountable for colored African, Indian, and white African inclusion in all opportunities. Program 3, university education, 407.3 billion of the department's expenditure over the next 3 years shall be largely spent on higher education institutions. We cannot be spending a combined 90.5% of the budget just for institutions to ignore our authority and tell us about academic autonomy that institutions like CUT uses as a smokescreen to appoint foreign nationals, overqualifying academics like Professor Mpekwa, who is now being ignored by them and the department. We see you. Marginalizing highly skilled professionals like Keenan Jacobs just because he's a colored South African. We see you. Institutions like UNISA, who promotes foreign nationals over academics like Dr. Jonas Tinane, that almost committed suicide and is now fired because he wrote to us. We see you. The principal of Meteo TVET College, who pays legal fees from these subsidies via a foreign national CFO to his sister, who is hired as the lawyer of the college with a member of council also getting a cut. We see you. And we're coming for you. Honorable Minister, we support this budget with the commitment to continue to hold you accountable without fear or favor. This is bigger than us.
Honorable Sauls, will you just take your seat, please? Why do you want to be recognized, honorable member?
Chair, I would love to find out whether the honorable member would be prepared to take a question.
Are you prepared to take a question, honorable member? Order.
No, Honorable Chair.
The honorable member is not prepared to take a question. Thank you. Please continue.
Honorable Minister, we support this budget with the commitment to continue to hold you accountable without fear or favor. This is bigger than you. It's bigger than us. Take accountability where you have erred and correct it for the sake of all South Africans. Proverbs chapter number 12, verse 1 says, whoever, minister, listen to the Bible, minister, whoever loves correction is wise. Whoever hates it is stupid. Despite the popular belief and the popular view, Honorable Minister, I know you are not stupid. Salute.
The next speaker is the Honorable Boshoff.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. A revolution comes along only once in...
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable Sauls, will you take your seat? Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. A revolution comes along only once in so many years. And about 30 years ago, there was one in which many systems and ways of doing were set aside to be replaced with new ones. Nou 'n onderwysstelsel is baie keer 'n ding wat stukkie vir stukkie groei, inkrementeel en wat 'n onsamehangende, ingewikkelde soort van werklikheid word wat mense, onderwyshervormers, die soort mense nogal in die versoeking bring om te sê kom ons skuif alles van die tafel af en ons kry 'n hele nuwe stelsel. Die probleem daarmee is as jy 'n fout maak, dan maak jy 'n baie groot fout. 'n Stelsel wat bietjie vir bietjie reggestel word, verander word in die rigting wat 'n mens om wil hê, is baie beter as 'n totaal nuwe stelsel wat nie werk nie. Nou kom ons kyk na wat is die veranderings wat aangebring is. As ons begin by universiteite, autonome universiteite wat elkeen met sy eie volgens sy eie wet geregeer is alles onder die departement van hoër onderwys ingebring. Technikons is afgeskaf en by universiteite ingeskakel, net soos wat universiteite ook by mekaar ingeskakel is. Daarmee het ons 'n baie belangrike tegniese aspek van onderrig en van hoër onderwys eintlik prysgegee omdat technikons tweede rangse universiteite geword het in plaas van wêreldklas instellings van dit wat hulle was. Tegniese colleges wat met ambagsopleiding gewerk het en grootliks met die departement van arbeid verweef is onder hierdie nuwe departement ingebring. Tegniese colleges het ook vaardigheidsopleiding gebring en nou is daar 'n hele nuwe community education and training sektor of arm van die departement wat mense jouself afvra waarom was dit nodig om so 'n hele nuwe ene in te bring. En dan kom ons natuurlik by NSFAS. NSFAS wat 'n kleinerige beurskema was en toe oornag omskep is in 'n baie groot toelaagskema. Nou daar's twee probleme. Die een probleem is NSFAS se administratiewe struktuur was van dag 1 af nie in staat om die las te dra wat op hom gelê is nie. En dinge het nog nie verbeter nie. Die tweede probleem is dat dit 'n toelaag geword het waar mense wel toegelaat word om te studeer wat dit anders nie sou kon bekostig nie en dis fantasties. Maar daar moet altyd 'n teenprestasie wees. Onderwys is nie gratis nie. Hoër onderwys kan nie verniet wees nie. Om mense te registreer op die lopende betalingsstelsel en te sê wanneer jy begin verdien met die geld wat jy gekry het uit die staatskas, moet jy dit wat jy gekry het terugbetaal. Dan word dit 'n saak wat homself kan voortsit. Die vorige minister van hoër onderwys het inderdaad gesê dat die befondsingsstruktuur waarbinne die hoër onderwyssektor nou funksioneer is nie volhoubaar nie en sal verander moet word. Daar het egter niks gebeur nie. Dit is nie besig om beter te word nie. Trouwens, daar was 'n beleid gewees rondom universiteite wat universiteite en universiteitscolleges as verskillende klasse van universiteite tot stand gebring het om universiteite te begelei om meer doeltreffend te wees. Dit is 'n inkrementele verbetering op dit wat ons gehad het, maar ons hoor niks meer daarvan nie. NSFAS wat veronderstel was om beter te word, het slegter geword met die aanstelling van die 4 fintech maatskappye wat eenvoudig nie in staat is om die werk te doen nie. Ons sit hier so met 'n probleem dat 'n mens vir jouself moet sê wat is die sterkste manier waarop jy jou afkeer vir die verkeerde rigting van die lyn kan uitspreek en dit is om te sê ons kan nie die begroting ondersteun nie. Ek dankie.
The next speaker is the Honorable Kobe.
Honorable House Chair, there is a crisis in higher education. Let us begin with access. Each year, over 337,000 learners achieve a bachelor's pass, yet there are only 202 university spaces available. This is a slam door in the face of achievement. And for those who do eventually make it through the door, they often find themselves with nowhere to sleep. The student housing backlog stands at over 500,000 beds. At the start of each academic year, we see students sleeping in hallways, on floors, and on the streets. Then there is NSFAS, a bureaucracy of despair. If it's not corrupt, politically connected, contractors fleecing students and lining their own pockets, it's the fact that this system itself is broken. Honorable House Chair, Each year, tens of thousands of missing middle students are excluded, not because they failed, but because there is no funding available to them. And NSFAS's response? Radio silence. Its 2023-2024 annual report is 9 months overdue. On paper, this institution barely exists. In practice, it fails students without consequences. And what of the CETAs making headlines? Action SA has consistently raised the alarm that these bodies are black holes consuming over 20 billion annually, with no transparency, no measurable outcomes, and certainly no public confidence. Walk out into the streets and ask any South Africans what CETAs actually do, and you will be met with silence. Chairperson, it is also interesting and worth noting that the DA has only in the past week miraculously discovered its outrage and chosen to vote against this budget. I will remind them that just a year ago, on the 16th of July, they ascended this very podium and supported this budget despite these long-standing issues. As Action SA, we do not pick and choose moments of principle. Since entering this House in 2024, we have been clear. We will not support this department's budget, not because this is a budget for higher education, but because this budget reflects continued chaos. At the helm of this disaster is a minister who embodies indifference. She concealed the names of so-called independent CETA selection panel, then got caught. But this behavior seems to be common practice from the Honorable Minister. She buried our questions about departmental travel under 800 pages of bureaucratic obfuscation, concealing, among other things, an 11.2 million travel spree.
Honourable Member, will you
Yes.
just take your seat? Honourable Member, why do you want to be recognized?
House Chairperson, I'm writing to ask if Honorable Gobe is prepared to take a question.
Honourable Member, are you prepared to take a question?
Certainly not. I'm busy. As Action SA, we propose real reforms. Overhaul NSFAS leadership to restore trust, transparency, and efficiency, including scrapping of exploitative fintech payment platforms. We ask you to support the missing middle by raising the NSFAS income cap to 500,000 and to offer low interest loans with repayments deferred until 2 years of employment capped at 10% of the income. Convert hijacked buildings in our CBDs into housing, student housing, and scrap broken CETAs and channel their budgets into an innovative opportunity fund. There is none of that boldness in this budget, none of this vision under this ministry, and we will therefore again this year be voting no. And just to address the Honorable Lizier, who came and attempted to blackmail us into voting yes, I would like to make it clear to you that Action SA's vote against this budget is a vote for students who are sleeping in libraries and public toilets, and for the youth who are losing their hope, and for the future of a functional and fair world-class education system. As it stands today, the budget under Minister Nkabani does not reflect this. In fact, it maintains a status quo of exclusion, poor governance, and academic decline. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Deputy Minister of Higher Education, the Honourable Gondwe.
Chairperson, this budget vote is being considered in the wake of Youth Month, a poignant moment in our national calendar that does more than just commemorate the courage of past generations of young people. It also reminds us of our present and pressing obligation to ensure that the young people of this generation are given every available opportunity to thrive and prosper. At the very core of this vision is a post-school education and training system that must not only educate, but also empower. Chairperson, more than 30 years into our constitutional democracy, poverty and unemployment remain persistent intergenerational realities. It is these very cycles of poverty and unemployment that we are determined to break as a sector. The socio-economic challenges beleaguering our country, more especially the burden of youth unemployment, underpin the three priorities of the GNU, which are to drive inclusive growth and job creation, to reduce poverty and the high cost of living, and to build a capable, ethical, and developmental state. Since assuming office in July 2024, we've ensured that the work that we do and our interventions respond directly to these priorities of the GNU. Chairperson, we inherited a sector seriously marred by dysfunction, from a failing NSFAS to SETAs embroiled in allegations of corruption and waste. At the start of this academic year, we witnessed the manifestation of these systemic failures when students were left without funding, without accommodation, and without answers. But we've not responded from behind a desk, Chairperson. Over the past year, I have conducted executive oversight across all 9 provinces, with a particular focus on TVETs and community colleges. These visits were not ceremonial in nature or in vain.
Honorable Deputy
There were
Minister.
opportunities to listen, to observe.
Honorable Deputy Minister, can you take a seat, please? Honorable Lonzi, why are you rising?
No, not a long one. Thank you, Chair. We'd like to find out if the DA, Deputy Minister of Higher Education, is going to support her own budget or reject it.
Honorable Lonzi, Honorable Lonzi, Honorable Lonzi, you should have asked the Deputy Minister if she's willing to take a question. And then if she says yes, you would continue with your question. Can you proceed, Honorable Deputy Minister?
These visits, Chairperson, were not ceremonial in nature. They were opportunities to learn, to observe, and to act. The voices and challenges of students, lecturers, and institutional leaders have directly shaped the work and interventions I discuss here today. In a time of constrained budgets and limited resources, we've turned to the private sector for strategic partnerships. In the past year, we've partnered with Old Mutual to expand industry and career exposure for students in rural institutions. We are presently at the tail end of agreements with ShopRite, Microsoft, and Takealot, designed to bridge the gap between the world of work and higher education. During this time, I also engaged both the FP&M SETA and the Energy and Water SETA in an effort to ensure that their service level agreements with employers guarantee that students trained through learnerships are permanently placed and absorbed into the economy. On the topic of infrastructure, Chairperson, we welcome Cabinet's allocation of over 1.2 billion over the next 2 years to expand student accommodation. But beyond budgets, Chairperson, we need innovation and thinking that is literally out of the box. We're therefore grateful to the KZN Department of Public Works for its commitment to hand over new state buildings for student accommodation. We're also grateful to Harmony Gold in the Free State for making buildings available for student accommodation. Chairperson, institutions like NSFAS must perform and function, and this is a non-negotiable. As such, the new board of NSFAS must prioritize efficiency and accountability. To support students in the sector, we've proudly launched a help desk in August 2024. Since its establishment, the help desk has processed approximately 25,000 queries, the majority of which are related to NSFAS. The help desk has further maintained an impressive 89% resolution rate. This is not just a statistics, Chairperson. It is a reflection of our commitment and my commitment to responsive student-centered service delivery. Gender-based violence remains a national crisis. And last year's CGE report on sexual harassment and GVB in our higher education institutions were a stark reminder of this fact. In response, we launched the Safer Campuses, Safer Spaces Outreach Awareness Campaign in collaboration with the CGE, Higher Health, NPA, SAPS, DSD, and NSFAS to promote and create safer learning environments for all our students, particularly our female students. We are also cracking down on bogus or illegal colleges, Chairpersons. Through partnerships with SAPS, Labour, Home Affairs, and municipalities such as Johannesburg, eThekwini, and soon Buffalo City, we are running awareness campaigns to ensure that students enroll in registered and accredited private institutions of higher education. Chairperson, allow me to close with the story of 2 young women, Matlahonono and Zinhle, who I met during oversight visits to Mpumalanga and Limpopo. Both young women became pregnant while at school and subsequently had to drop out of school. Later, they both enrolled at a community college in the hopes of completing their basic education and ultimately pursuing their dreams. To the many Matlahononos and Zinhles across our country, you're not invisible. I see you and I'll continue working for you. In closing, Chairperson, this budget must reflect more than numbers and expenditure. It must reflect our resolve and undeterred determination to build an ethical, and the emphasis here is on the word ethical, inclusive and responsive post-school education training system. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Order, honorable members. The next speaker is Honorable Tring. Order, honorable members.
Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson. The 2025-26 budget for higher education and training stands at some 150.2 billion rand, reflecting a 4.8% nominal increase. This growth masks persistent structural challenges in the post-school education and training system. The ACDP notes the department's priority to increase enrollments across universities, TVET colleges, and community education and training colleges. However, barriers such as funding delays and infrastructure backlogs persist. The ACDP calls for increased interventions to remove the stubborn stigma surrounding TVET colleges, perceived as second-tier options, despite their potential to drive economic inclusion. It cannot be denied that NSFAS governance lapses and delayed disbursements have eroded student and public confidence. The appointment of the new board, however, has failed to decrease operational inefficiencies at NSFAS. A newspaper article in February this year noted that funding delays and institutional barriers plague South African universities at the start of every academic year. Now, while the rollout of the comprehensive student funding model targeting the missing middle was allocated some 3.8 billion rand in 2024, it could only fund just under half of the estimated 68,446 students from this category. Many of the students feel excluded, and some who have qualified for the loan scheme allege that they have not been paid for the previous year. The ACDP agrees with the call for a system to monitor and enforce repayment of loans, because without a robust repayment system, the model risks becoming unsustainable. House Chair, the allegations against the Minister of misleading Parliament, of political patronage in the appointment of ANC-connected individuals to the seaters must be fully tested within the ambits of the law and parliamentary rules. The ACDP states that the heads of all departments must be held to the highest ethical and moral standard. Anything short of this is a disservice to the poor, the marginalized, and in this case, the struggling students of South Africa. While the budget reflects intent, delivery remains uneven. The ACDP, as kingdom builders, calls for governance reform, data integrity, and a cultural shift in this department that values vocational pathways as engines of growth. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Tring. The next speaker is Honorable Ghana. Nyambos. Nakensam Somastul. Honorable members, fellow South Africans. This afternoon, I want to rise for a grade 12 learner in Limpopo, in the Eastern Cape, and in El Dorado Park. The learner who dreams of becoming a doctor, a teacher, an engineer, or a plumber, but is anxious. Anxious not because of ability, but because they don't know if they'll find space at the university or a TVET college next year. I rise for the young woman who passed matric last year with flying colors, but is now sitting at home, her dreams on hold, because she was turned away due to lack of space. I rise for the student who did find space, but now finds themselves caught in the chaos, delays, and the cruelty of a broken NSFAS system. This budget vote has attracted attention, but not for the right reasons, but for the spectacles that it can provide. I refuse to take part in that spectacle. I choose to focus on the substance. As Rise Mzansi, we reaffirm our commitment to building a safe, prosperous, equal, and united South Africa in one generation. But that South Africa is impossible without access to higher education. Education
And especially higher education is not a luxury. It is a path out of poverty. It is the foundation of a prosperous nation. The department's 142 billion budget is substantial, but not enough. Because our crisis isn't just funding. It's space, it's access, it's a system that is failing the poor. And nowhere is that failure more glaring than in NSFAS. And I have to say, honorable members, NSFAS changed my life. I'm a product of it. Many in this house are. But what I see today is heartbreaking. Hyenas and tenderpreneurs circling what should be a lifeline for our youth. The 95 billion for NSFAS has to go to students and not middlemen. Those that have stolen from NSFAS must be prosecuted. We cannot continue to play political football with the futures of our youth. We need to clean up NSFAS, get it working. Our future depends on it. And we dare not fail. Minister, get NSFAS to work.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Honorable Maimane.
Bagaetsho dumelang. Honorable members, you cannot delink the ambition of freedom to the ambition of higher education. What is factually true is that we focused on the intrinsic nature of education, but we've never linked it to our economic outputs. It becomes important then when we derive a plan for what South Africa needs to look like in the future, we become clear about what type of graduates we want to produce. And to this regard, Minister, I want to focus on a few things. The first one is the notion of empowerment. The harsh reality of it is that this department progressively is overseeing the number of Black students declining who are going to higher education. Instead, Indians and Asians are increasing that number. It tells you that our empowerment story has been dealing from higher education. The second is the issue of capacity. The university that Honorable Gigaba is graduating from, our university. Chairperson, protect me, please. What's become common cause is that university expected, it had applications of over 360,000, but could only fill 10,500 slots. It's clear that infrastructure built in higher education is poor. The fact of the matter, Minister, is that we are talking about a shortage potentially of about 500,000 beds in this country. So frankly, if we're going to see the doors of learning open, as is the ambition, we clearly need to fund the capacity thereof. I need to raise the question of how we deal with efficiency. It's now common cause the fact that NSFAS is not an efficient institution of managing how many students we want to get in to higher education. And so, Minister, either we reform NSFAS or actually shut out the middleman. Yes, historically, universities used to allocate slots. And sure, it didn't work. But the truth is, when students were able to walk into an office, speak to someone, they were able to get answers. Today, when students are trying to talk to anyone at NSFAS, they get no responses, and they constantly are coming to complain. The last issue is the issue of leadership. You and I can sit here today and debate whether this is the right minister or not the right minister. The issue of whether the minister misled Parliament or not needs to be brought before a parliamentary committee, and an investigation must be sought so we can get to the bottom of this. It's not a violation of my feelings or anyone's feelings. It's about ultimately constitutional obligation that must be felt. And so on behalf of Build One South Africa, I rise to say we will support this budget. We expect reform, and ultimately we need to make sure that South Africa is a different place from a higher education point of view. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Maimane. The next speaker is Honorable van der Walt.
Honorable Chairperson and members, Under the leadership of the Deputy Minister, Mimi Gondwe, the department co-hosted the Skills and Jobs Investment Summit in November 2024 with excellent outcomes, proof that there are indeed dedicated public servants working to strengthen the past school education system. Got you. Minister, your mandate is clear to build a capable, skilled and well-educated citizenry through an effective post-school education and training system. This department is meant to drive economic growth, social development and global competitiveness. Whilst
Honourable
your
members.
department-
The noise from my right is very high. I'm struggling to even hear Honorable Deputy Minister, Honorable Deputy Minister, I'm making a ruling about what you are doing now. I'm saying it's very noisy this side. I'm struggling to even hear what she is saying. Can you please lower down your voices? Can you proceed, Honorable van der Walt?
Whilst your department is in ICU, youth unemployment is in a crisis. On Tuesday, you referenced NSFAS head office in the Halyard building, a contract that has still not been terminated. Let me remind South Africans, especially our students, of what this luxury lease entails. 2.5 million rand per month for 5 premium floors with ocean views, 140 parking bays initially charged 1,750 rand per month each, and nearly 9.5 million rand, excluding VAT, earmarked for improvements to the fancy lease premises. And while NSFAS executives enjoy ocean views, our students suffer. What we need is on-campus presence, not boardroom luxury. Before moving into Halyard, did your department not rent space at the Rockefeller Hotel building? Wonder what that have cost. And that while students were sleeping in bathrooms, libraries, and our city streets because you failed to do your job. In April, 212,000 TVET college students had their allowances delayed due to a system challenge. We now know it was linked to oversized batch files, an absolute unacceptable excuse in 2025. 1.3 billion rand in dodgy direct payments deals were awarded to unqualified IT companies, 4 of them, that were neither financial service providers nor had any experience handling student funds. The former NSFAS administrator was paid 5.5 million rand for 10 months of work, and your written response to me, you confirmed that there was no requirement for a handover report in his contract. I don't think that could have been possible. You often speak of supporting students with disabilities, yet Ms. Botha, a student from Malmesbury with a disability, has been waiting 2 years for her certificate. She has secured a job offer but cannot begin work without proof of her qualification. And I personally raised this with the DG and the CEO of NSFAS. No action. How can we claim to support disabled students yet fail them when it matters? In 2019-23, your department spent 79 million rand on venue hire. From January to November 24 alone, 38 million. Your entity spent additional 6.4 million rand 2019-23 and another 3.9 million in the first 10 months of 2024. It's unacceptable that students can't get certificates, allowances are delayed, and infrastructure is collapsing. You've been in the office now for a year, but nothing has turned around and no strategy to link TVET graduates to employment except patronage. In ordinary times with ordinary ministers, this budget, despite its shortcomings and despite the myriad challenges that the department faces, this budget would have been supported. But this is not ordinary times, and you're not just an ordinary minister, and you cannot be trusted with 142 billion rand because of the lack of honesty and with integrity. Youth unemployment keeps on rising. How can we, in good conscience, entrust tens of billions of rand destined for students to someone with such questionable...
Honourable Member.
Thank you.
Your time is up. Honourable Skosana, why is your hand up?
Yeah, Chair, I'm rising on Rule 85. Yeah, the honourable member says the minister lacks integrity. I think the honorable member is casting aspersion on the minister.
You should have raised it when she was still.
I raised it while she was still speaking, Chair, but you did not see me.
I did not see you, unfortunately. Can we proceed? The Honorable, the Deputy Minister.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Our community education and training institutions are the soul, in our view, of inclusive education in South Africa. They are the bridge between which learning and livelihood, between survival and opportunity, especially for those left behind by the formal education and training system, and that this budget vote must take its rightful place at the center of our transformation agenda. Over the past year, we have made measurable progress in the CET sector. Completion rate at our community education and training centers improved by 15%, supported by curriculum review, better learner support, and stronger community outreach. For 2025-26, we aim to increase CET enrollments by 10%, focusing on rural and township communities where the hunger for knowledge meets the need for economic empowerment. We will roll out e-learning platforms across all CET centers to bridge the digital divide, and we will also pilot blended learning models in partnership with universities, TVET colleges, and we are finalizing plans with provincial governments to repurpose our 200 unused schools and community buildings into vibrant, modern CET learning spaces, because education cannot be the preserve of urban centers alone. But Chairperson, CET is not only about access, it is also about relevance, and that is why we are retooling our programs to align with community needs, agro-processing, early childhood development, construction skills, and also digital literacy. We're also working with the Department of Small Business Development to ensure that we expose all the products that students from CET colleges are creating to the market. A broader post-school system is also on the move. And I got a sense that some of the members may not have a sense of what interventions and how this particular system has changed over the last 31 years. As we speak, Chairperson, university graduation rates have increased by 8%. TVET job placements have grown by 22% through new industry partnership. And our CETAs are innovating boldly, training young people in artificial intelligence, green energy, and community safety. And I think it would be remiss if we conclude this budget vote debate speech without clarifying, I think, two most important issues. Firstly, for some members, particularly the honorable member from the Action SA, Honorable Kobe, who read the morning newspapers to prepare for this budget and listen to everything else that is being said in the news about the portfolio committee and the budget on higher education, and to come and regurgitate those here as if they are facts is actually unfortunate. And some of the members who said some of the things about the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, as we speak today, 820,000 students are being paid through the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. The issue of the intermediary payments have been taken to court by those payment providers, and that whatever the outcomes of the court, the NYDA, the NSFAS will be obliged to respond to those. The reality is, yes, there may have been challenges in our National Student Financial Aid Scheme, but some of those challenges are being overcome, and that this narrative that is clinging to some of the challenges that the NSFAS had in the past and try to repeat them today as if those are a matter of fact. In fact, if some of the things that the honorable members are saying today about what's happening with the NSFAS, with the students in our colleges and in our universities, if those were true, I do not think that any of our institutions will be operating. I think finally, there was a suggestion here that our DG and our minister and everybody else. In fact, in particular, I think that our DG is being charged with corruption, with graft, and that the minister is again. I mean, this is not MK Party where when you wake up accused of witchcraft tonight, the following day you get expelled. Accusations do not constitute conviction. You cannot come here and say people are being accused of this and that and everywhere else and not prove any of those. You want our DG or our minister to follow the route that
Deputy Minister,
Bambo followed for being
your
the
time
first
has
politician
expired.
expelled for witchcraft. Thank you very much.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Can we have order? Honorable members. Honorable members. Minister. Honorable members, you have been given time to speak. Let's give others to participate. The NCC. Al Jama.
Honorable House Chair, Al Jama acknowledges the world-class initiatives of the Department of Higher Education under the leadership of the Director General and Minister and will support this budget. One does not reject a budget because the Minister is viewed in a negative light. What about the other two Deputy Ministers? It is an insult to the official opposition and other political parties because they are saying we are unable to hold the ministry and the minister to account. A strong opposition party is key to a strong democracy, and now we don't have one, which is the greatest threat to our democracy. Tertiary education is one of the most powerful investments the nation can make. And this speech has not been produced by artificial intelligence, which the fighters will take a century to understand and get used to. It is therefore unfortunate that funding for higher education remains a crisis in South Africa, but at the same time, we must not overlook the significant progress made so far. Higher education is the key to decent work, and President Mandela got the first award by the ILO for promoting decent work. The Minister of Higher Education is the champion we need to ensure more people have decent work in South Africa. Decent work is a lifelong job with all the perks and benefits best practice employers offer their staff, like excellent pensions, medical aid, housing, bursaries, and even to visit Rome and Mecca. As the Deputy Minister of Social Development, I would like to thank the Minister of Higher Education that has made it so easy for learner grant beneficiaries to automatically get NSFAS assistance if they accept it at the university and college. They do not even have to apply and fill in any forms. 80% of the class of 2024 were learner grant beneficiaries, and this House gave the class of 2024 a standing ovation. The empty vessels of the DA in what we heard today, so well articulated by the fighters who don't understand artificial intelligence, has taken hypocrisy to the next level. So apologies, Chairman, for that. In 2024, the Minister of Education launched a National Skills Fund Disabilities Program. Thank you very much, Minister, for that, because 10,000 persons will now go through tailored training programs. Al Jama supports this budget.
Thank you.